Hi guys, today we're going to see and talk about lesson 2, but before we continue, I wanted to show you, wait a minute, the previous lesson, the class video, you will find it here under this icon, this item says sessions, online sessions, or sesiones online. This is the class video about lesson 1. So now, right now, we are going to talk about lesson 2. So let's start then. Well, let's rewind our previous lesson. We were talking about text linguistics. This is a definition. It's a branch of linguistics that deals with text as communication systems. Also, we were talking about definition of text. We were finding a lot of definition according to some author. Nevertheless, this could be one of an interesting definition, a piece of spoken or written language. A text may be considered from the point of view of its structure and or its function. Also, we were talking about constituent criteria of textuality, like cohesion, coherence. Of course, we were talking a lot of both cohesion and coherence. Also, intentionality, it's according to intention, acceptability if the receiver accepts the text. Informativity is about the text that contains information. Situationality is according to the situation. This could be, for example, context. And intertextuality. Let's remember regulative criteria of textuality: efficiency, effectiveness, appropriateness. EEA. Don't forget. So now, this is a definition of cohesion according to Oxford Advanced Learning Dictionary. Consider the way in which the component of the surface text, for example, actual words we hear or see, are mutually connected. This is a word connection that define everything about cohesion, connected within a sequence. So we have the tools of cohesion, reference, substitution, ellipsis, conjunction, lexical terms. We're speaking about reference is basically to describe different ways in which entity, things, people, events are referred within text. We have an example. Dr. Faustus went to Gloucester in a shower of rain. He stepped in puddle right up to his middle and never went there again. He and there show that information about it is retrieved elsewhere within the text. It characterizes a particular type of cohesion which is called reference. More about reference. This could be subcategorized as follow, like exophoric, endophoric, anaphoric, cataphoric. So exophoric is used to describe a linguistic feature in a text, which refers to something outside. Exo, actually, the word exo comes from Greek out. So exo is out. In this case, is the reference when refers to something outside of the text. And the opposite endophoric refers to inside the text. Example, she gave the book to John, he left the room. He's an example of endophoric reference referring to John. We have types of reference. Then we're going to substitution. Is the replacement of one item by another or something that you used instead of the thing you would usually use. We have example, my axe is too blunt. I must get a sharper one. This is my favorite. Ellipse or ellipsis is another cohesive device. This talk about, for example, when words are deliberately left out of a sentence, the meaning can still be understood. It's when, for example, it's like you're speaking about something, but you don't tell anything in the middle, but then you continue your text. But when you don't say anything, you let those words to the imagination. For example, simple conversation example. Where are you going? To town. The full form of be, your reply would be I am going to town. But we just have to town here. Then we have conjunction. This is a word which join words, phrases, or clauses together, such as but and when, so that nevertheless or that and unless. This is actually we use a lot of conjunction every day in every or not only every day, every second. But when, so that, nevertheless, there are famous examples. We have category of conjunctions. They could be adjective, adversative, causal, temporal, adjective. When you add something, adversative, it means contrary expectation. Causal, this is relation expressed by so, does, hence, therefore. Usually they use to combine with initial and. Also we have temporal. This relation expressed in its simple form then. So then we have lexical cohesion. These refer to the ties created between lexical elements such as words, groups, and phrases. They could be a repetition, synonymy, homonymy, and meronymy. Repetition, as you can assume, is using the same word over again. Synonymy, using words that are in some way synonymous. Homonymy, talk about one word represent a class of things in the second either a superclass or subclass or another class are similar. For example, tree, oak, pine, elm, they are types of trees. So that's an eponymy. Meronymy are words that refer to parts of a whole. Example, tree, trunk, branch, leaf, root, etc. As you can see, speak about cohesion is too long, but never think that cohesion is not important. That's why we're speaking again about that. And also, we can watch a video before continue speaking about coherence now.
If text is coherent, then it should flow logically, making it easy for the reader to understand what is being expressed. There are a number of different ways to gain cohesion within sentences, paragraphs, and at a whole text level. These are known as cohesive devices. The most common cohesive devices are paragraphing, conjunctions, connectives, pronouns, and punctuation. Paragraphing. Each paragraph should have a clear focus. Paragraphs are like stepping stones for your reader. They lead the reader from one end of your writing to the other. The first paragraph is a non-narrative example, and the second is a narrative example, but the rule is still the same. Many children find it tricky to know when to start a new paragraph. Tip-top might help. Time. Start a new paragraph for a new time or event. Place. Start a new paragraph for each new place. Topic. Start a new paragraph for each new topic, idea, subject, or contrasting opinion. Person. Start a new paragraph for each new speaker. Linking devices. Conjunctions. Conjunctions link things or actions within single sentences. Conjunctions have a range of purposes and are used for a variety of different reasons. This means that some are more appropriate for particular text types. Connectives. Connectives is a general term for linking words and phrases. Adverbials and conjunctions are both forms of connectives. These help to link text within paragraphs as well as linking paragraphs together. Pronouns. Pronouns are essential in helping the writer to avoid unnecessary repetition and allow something that has been previously mentioned to be quickly referenced again. If being used well, the reader will always know who and what is being referred to. The dragon had scaly skin on his back. He had large amber eyes that flickered like flames. Punctuation. The correct use of punctuation in writing makes it clear how the text is divided and is there to aid the reader's understanding and make meaning clear. Cohesion also relates to the writer having a good sense of audience and purpose throughout the text. The writer must ensure that the content is logically ordered so that each section flows into the next.
Interesting video. So let's go out to coherence. According to the definition given in Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary, coherence is a situation in which all the parts of something fit together well. If you want to know about the difference between coherence and cohesion, don't forget to watch the previous video we have in lesson 1. We have an example here. My father bought a Lincoln convertible. The car driven by the police was red. That color does not suit her. She consists of 3 letters. However, a letter isn't fast as telephone call. It becomes clear from an example like this that the connectedness which we experience in our interpretation of normal text is not simple based on connection between the words. There must be some other factor which lead us to distinguish connected text which makes sense from those which do not. This factor is usually described as coherence. Basically, coherence, let's type here, has to make sense. This is the key to know our sentence that has coherence. It's by basically concerned with two things: the ways in which the things the text is about are mutually accessible and relevant, concern the textual word that means about what a text is. Number 3, intentionality. We're talking about this: acceptability, informativity, situationality, and intertextuality. We were talking about they're important, but we must know their information are very clear to repeat it again. So let's go forward with the regulative principle of text communication. There are three regulative principles, and these have to control the communication efficiency, effectiveness, preparedness. EEA. Efficiency is the text used to communicate when a minimum expenditure of effort by the participants. Effectiveness. The text creates favorable conditions for attaining the standard goal, and appropriateness suitable of the text to the communicated situation in which it's used. So this was a review about the previous lesson, lesson 1. So now it's time to go further with lesson number 2. So in this lesson, we will start talking about American English text linguistics. Previously known, text linguistics is a branch of linguistics that studies written or spoken text in a language. We have this so clear. So, American English text linguistics specifically focuses on the analysis of text in the context of American English. This involves examining the structure, remember, organization, and features of text to understand, this is the main goal, understand how language is used in written or spoken communication. So this is a brief introduction. Let's move on to key aspects of American English text linguistics. This may include the first one, text structure. The text structure says that examining the overall structure of a text, what are the structure? Such as how it is organized into paragraph, section, or chapters. So today we'll be talking about this topic. But before, it is important to know that there are 5 types of text structure. This type we will watch in the next video.
You know, much like buildings, text, especially informational and non-fiction text, have to be structurally sound, or else they'll fall over. You feel me? Yeah, let's get it. Let's go! When you read informational text, you see the pattern and the way that it's written, oh yes. There are 5 main structures you can check. Find the structure and they get less complex. Let's flex and break down all 5. Follow me, the text structure mastermind. This first text structure is called description. It describes the topic and its characteristics. You'll see such as and, for example, and details and adjectives like in this sample. The famous Leaning Tower of Pisa is located in Italy. Mamma mia! It stands over 180 feet tall, tilted 4 degrees like it's starting to fall. That's description. The author described the tower, so you have the image in your mind. Now peep this, the structure called sequence. It gives events from way back to most recent. Construction began in 1173, but it was halted when war was decreed. Building stopped for a while, then resumes many years later in 1272. Sequence contains dates and the words next and before, first, second, and third. Cause and effect is another way to organize. It's when authors tell what happened and why. Soft soil made the tower settle unevenly. As a result, it leaned increasingly. Builders tried to balance it with more floors, but due to extra weight, it leans even more. words like because, since, if, then, due to mean the cause and effect is coming right to you. In text, I find description, I find sequence, cause, and effect. We can compare and contrast all day. There's a problem and solution, I bet. In text, I find description, I find sequence, cause, and effect. We can compare and contrast all day. There's a problem and solution, I bet. If you heard the hook, you already know there's two more text structures to go. Sometimes an author introduces a problem and then explains how somebody solved it. The tower leans more with each passing century. The tilt increased to more than 5 degrees. The people feared it would collapse into ruins. Now we know the problem. What's the solution? Earth was removed from under the monument, and weights were added to balance out the top of it. They corrected the lean, at least a little bit. That's problem and solution, not a riddle, kid. Just look out for the words involved. Since question, problem, solution, and solve. I got another text you don't have to ask, and it's text structure, compare and contrast. It explains how things are different and the same with the words in bold I'm about to say. Both the Tower of Pisa's construction and the Washington Monument saw destruction. The Washington Monument, named after George, had construction paused for the Civil War. Like the Leaning Tower, it took years to finish, but the purposes of the buildings were different. One was erected as a church bell's tower, while the other honored a founding father. There we compared the two different towers. That's 5 text structures in a 16th of an hour. In text, I find description, I find sequence, cause, and effect. We can compare and contrast all day. There's a problem and solution, I bet. In text, I find description, I find sequence, cause, and effect. We can compare and contrast all day. There's a problem and solution, I bet.
Wow, that was awesome. That song it's very catchy. I'm sure you liked a lot. Well, sadly, I have to continue. Please don't get bored. Right. Well, previous video was talking, let's say, singing about the text extraction. So in this part of the video, we'll be talk about how the text structure is organized, and that count with paragraph, section, or chapter. Let's go below. We have here the structure within section of the text. Just like books can be divided into chapters, essays, and articles, but are often divided into sections. Within each section, the text can be further divided into subsection, and each such section or subsection will be divided into paragraphs, and so on and on. Whereas the introductory section of the text present what will be discussed later on, the body section develop the ideas that were initially set out. So write it, follow the IMRD structure, and this will be their text into section. After the introduction follow section and middle. Results on a discussion section. The writer of a 3-part essay has more freedom in choosing headings and structuring body part of the body text. Although 3-part essays do not always have section heading, and in such heading will help readers orientate themselves in longer essays. So we have here how to in structuring the section. So although most texts go through some kind of restructuring during the writing process, it was to aim at a logical and a coherent structure. Don't forget about this from the start. To already clearly recognize the parts of the text and make it easier to restructure the text if necessary. So in this part, we will begin with subheadings because it's one way of signposting the structure while writing is to insert tentative subheading as soon as a new topic or turn of resonance begins. Such new subheadings will help you see the structure of your developing text, and they will also help you Identify the pros and cons of the structure you have chosen. Depending instruction from supervisor or publisher section hidden. So hidden you have inserted may have to be removed in the finished text. If this is the case, they can be transformed into citable topics, sentences, or transitional phrases that will help your reader navigate your text and transition from one section to another. So let's go to paragraph. I know you know about a lot about paragraph. I'm pretty sure you remember the hamburger paragraph. We have the topic sentence, supporting sentence. This is a, this is the best metaphorical thing to represent what a paragraph is. Remember the bread and the top uh, down are the topic sentence and conclusion sentence. So they're very important and they have to be no matter what. Then we have the supporting sentence that will be one, two, three, four. Remember, a sentence began when other sentence is ending. This we can relate to a dot, right? Period. And the sentence ends to another with another dot or period. Forget the commas. The commas not represent the begin or the ending or a sentence, right? So basically, this section, structure with paragraph, is speaking about this one. Then we have the chapter. Actually, chapter come from Latin. In Latin is capitula, kind of similar to Spanish. In French is sommariés. So we have in Latin and French. And the chapter is any of the main thematic division within a writing of relative length, such as book of prose, poetry, or law, even the Bible. A book with chapter not to be confused with a chapter book, may have multiple chapters that rapidly comprise discrete topics or themes. Let's I want to draw because I like a lot when we can make things with graphics. For example, let me show you here. This here, it's, let's say, a book, right? So our book, their division, it is in this way. Blue one will be chapters. See, red one will be sections, and the green one will be paragraphs. right? This is speaking short but precisely about how can we divide a text, in this case a book. Don't forget, it would not only a book, it would be um, every kind of document. But in some authors, they don't they aren't sure if the is there or not difference between a chapter, wait for it, between a chapter and section. Why? Because some authors think section will be first than chapters, and chapter is below sections, according to some author. But another author, and let's say most of the author, think the chapter is the main part on top of the sections. So we have two ways or see. Continue the structure of chapter. A chapter usually has a table of contents. Novels sometimes use a table of contents, but not always, just sometimes. Also, they have unusual number schemes, especially in works of fiction. Authors sometimes number the chapters eccentrically, often as a metaphor, fictional statement. For example, "Se Yo There Below" by Laszlo Krasnahorial has chapter number according to the Fibonacci sequence. "The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time" by Marhadam only has chapters which are prime numbers. And so on. In the last part, top, especially in the historical context, because in the early printed era, long works were often published in multiple volumes, such as the Victorian triple-decker novel. It's divided into numerous chapters. More omnibus reprints will often retain the volume divisions. In some cases, the chapter will be numbered consecutively all the way through, so that book 2 might begin chapter 9. But in other cases, the numbering might reset after each part. For example, book 2, chapter 1. Even Even though the practice of dividing novels into separate volumes is rare in modern publishing, many authors do structure their works, into books or parts, uh, even in volumes. For example, volume 2, volume 3, etc. And then subdivide into chapters. Another example of this is The Lord of the Rings, which consists of 6 books. 6 books. In the movie, we watch only 3 parts, but the books are 6, each with a recognizable part of the story, although it is usually published in 3 volumes. So they have a huge differences on classification, the paragraph section or chapters. We were talking about a lot and a lot and a lot, and I'm sure you pretty are aware about what cohesion and coherence mean. So this this part is over. In the next lesson, we were talking about the general analysis because it's a lot. There is a lot of information about this. So more further, we were talking about the discord markets and pragmatics. And now you can see here no activities today. So you are free this weekend, no activities today, no forum lesson, because we'll be talking a lot in the next lesson.